Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this extraordinary meeting of Wingecarribee Shire Council on Wednesday the 29th of May. This meeting is being recorded and webcast, and I'd ask you, if you've got mobile phones, to turn them off or turn them onto silent. Acknowledgement of country. Wingecarribee Shire Council acknowledge the Gundungurra and Tharawal people as the traditional custodians of this land we now call Wingecarribee Shire. I pay my respects to elders, both past, present and emerging. I would also like to extend that respect to all First Nation people present here or watching today. Statement of ethical obligations. As Administrator, I will undertake the duties of the Office of Administrator in the best interest of the people of Wingecarribee Shire area, and to act faithfully and impartially in carrying out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment. I am committed to the declaration of conflicts of interest in relation to items listed for consideration on the agenda or which are considered at this meeting in accordance with the Code of Conduct and Code of Meeting Practice. Obviously, there are no apologies for this meeting. General Manager, declarations of interest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one declaration of interest from yourself. It's a non-pecuniary, non-significant declaration, and the stated reason is, and I quote, I am the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal, administrator fee unrelated and fixed by the Minister for Local Government. Yep, thank you, Mr. May.
And that was fixed back in 2021, remains unaltered.
I couldn't read the apologies. I couldn't read the writing. That's why I stopped. Apologies for that.
Okay, well, with that declaration, there are no administrative minutes. We're now dealing with matters through exception. This is only a small agenda, but I think we should just run with that policy. I've come better prepared tonight for the policy. I would like to call items 8.1 and 8.3. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. May. In addition, we'd like to introduce 8.4. And that is it, just 8.4 in addition to your two. Thank you.
So, in relation to the declaration, that's just noted. Okay. So, I would move item 8.2, CCTV and portable surveillance cameras in public places policy. The officer's recommendation 1, 2, 3 and 4 as outlined on page 15 of the business paper. Item 8.5, remuneration, Local Government Remuneration Tribunal annual fees payable to Mayor and Councillors for 24-25. The officer's recommendation as outlined on page 83 of the business paper. And item 8.6, Federal Inquiry into Local Government Sustainability, submission and IPART Council Reference Group nomination. I would move the officer's recommendation 1 and 2 as outlined on page 125 of the business paper and declare those matters carried. General Manager, we now go back to item 8.1, the Urban Tree Management Policy.
Thank you, Mr. May. I'll ask the Director Service and Project Delivery, Ms. Target, to introduce this item and also to respond to the land ownership question that was raised in relation to the marketplace, Berrima Memorial. Oh, sorry, I'm an item ahead of myself, sorry. It's been a very big day, sorry. Back to you, Ms. Targa.
But the
Thank you.
General Manager's been here since 6 a.m.
Thank you, General Manager Mr. May. The purpose of this report is to seek Council approval to defer the updating of the urban tree management policy until such time that a comprehensive set of plans for holistic tree management have been prepared. At the ordinary meeting of Council on the 15th of May 2024, the report Urban Tree Management Policy Draft for Public Exhibition was deferred for further information and review by the General Manager. The Council's initial urban tree policy from 2018 is overdue for revision. A draft of the Urban Tree Management Policy 2024 was presented to the Council on the 15th of May 2024. The Council decided to defer the matter for further information. It is recognised that more work is required before a contemporary tree management policy can be prepared and presented to Council. A consultant has been engaged to prepare a comprehensive strategy aimed at enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of tree management delivery. This approach seeks to deliver a customer-centric outcome of the Council's tree management initiatives and make things easier for residents. This report details the planned delivery of a comprehensive suite of documents designed to provide the Shire with the best approach for tree management into the future. It is therefore requested that Council defer updating the urban tree management policy. Thank you.
Look, I agree totally with you. Look, on the weekend, the further I dug in this matter, the deeper the quagmire became for me, and the amount of reading that residents have to do in relation to trees. The 2000 street tree master plan is a very wordy document, and I found totally confusing. The certificate tree register I still can't find, but you've told me there's been no changes to that for a decade. The urban tree policy is 100 pages of waffle. Will this new policy we have respect the importance of trees to the environment of this Shire, but at the same time make it clearer on expectations for residents?
That's the intent, Mr. May.
So this will be reviewing the policies and stuff that I've raised, plus.
Correct?
Yeah. The timeline does not mention the tree preservation order, and I'm surprised there is no tree preservation order here. Most councils have them, and the need for residents to go through the portal, which is referenced in the report, but which you assure me really is not necessarily every occasion. We'll have there'll be an actual section on the website which will deal with trees, which will make it easier. I'm not suggesting it be made easier for residents to remove trees. I'm suggesting it be made easier for residents to understand
Correct.
what our rules are. That's right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, look, I would suggest a small change to the recommendation on page 5. I would move the officer's recommendation, it being noted that the officer's recommendation be adopted further. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So that the officer's recommendation be adopted, it being noted that it is the intention of council within the time outlined in the report, within the timeline outlined in the report, to develop a tree preservation order to integrate into the Wingecarribee local environmental plan. So taking out the second paragraph there. That aligns with what the intent of what the staff were.
Correct.
I declare that carried. The next item is 8.3, Cenotaphs and War Memorials. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. May. Thank you, Mr. May, and I apologise for getting ahead of myself. And yes, we were here just before 6 this morning for the opening of the EOC and 2ST's broadcast. Now, back over to the Director, Service and Project Delivery. If you could please introduce the item and also cover off on the matters raised previously. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager, Mr. May. The purposes of this report is to seek Council's endorsement for the updated Cenotaphs and War Memorials Security and Protection Policy to be placed on public exhibition. War memorials and cenotaphs play a significant role in the commemoration of Wingecarribee residents in military conflicts and peacekeeping operations. This policy details Council's commitment to the preservation and protection of those war memorials and cenotaphs that are located on Council land. The policy was first adopted in July 2016 and therefore is due for review in accordance with our policy review cycle. As part of the revision of the policy, there have been 3 primary updates to the policy. 1, the document has been brought into alignment with Council's latest policy template and style guide. 2, a complete listing of war memorials and cenotaphs is on Council land, as opposed to the previous partial listing. 3, the policy listed banners and signage as requiring the concurrence of the local RSL branch. To eliminate any confusion, this section has been updated to give greater clarification relating to this aspect. It is believed it would be appropriate to keep the list detailed within section 3.1 unchanged, as it provides a comprehensive list of war memorials that are on Council land. However, as mentioned in the public forum, it's acknowledged that a comprehensive update to this list has unintended consequences, as detailed by Mr. Carnagan. It's therefore recommended that section 3.1 be updated to nominate several items, such as Bandanoon Soldiers Memorial Hall and Mossville War Memorial Aquatic Centre, as not having a curtilage. And then section 4.1 could be updated to instead start with that, with the exception of the memorials noted within section 3.1 that do not have a curtilage. Each memorial or cenotaph has a nominated curtilage 2 meters from the edge. Berma War Memorial is located on Council land and therefore will be subject to the provisions of the policy. It's also recorded on the New South Wales War Memorial Register. There are several other war memorials that are on private land, as detailed within section 3.2 of the policy. And these are the Remembrance Drive Gardens, located in private property along the Old Hume Highway near the intersection with Taylor Avenue. It's therefore recommended that Council endorse the revised policy to be placed on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. Thank you.
You're going to have to go slower for me in relation to the Bandanoon War Memorial Hall
I mean, it's something that we can consider as part of the public exhibition period, but it's something that we can do, recognise items that have a curtilage and items that don't have a curtilage, and therefore be dealt with. But it's just a suggestion, but I think we should look into it in more detail during the public exhibition period.
I can see the hall and the pool. Were the hall and the pool in the previous?
No, they were not listed. So this is a more comprehensive list, but it has had unintended issues as outlined in the public forum, which we can address by including a table in the policy after it comes back from public exhibition.
Yeah, but look, I don't want to cause any unnecessary angst in Bundanoon, or for that matter, with users and the lessee of the Moss Vale War Memorial Aquatic Centre, because they're going to come into conflict. And next thing you know, you get a petition from them signing petitions with all their users, when common sense tells me if we can, well, it can't be transferred to 3.2 because then they're our property. Sorry, General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. May. I think what the director's suggesting is to make the amendments during the exhibition period. The reason being is that the Moss Vale War Memorial Aquatic Centre is actually listed on the New South Wales War Memorial Register. That's not to say that the provisions within our policy will necessarily apply, but I think it would be more prudent not to do this on the run and respond back after we go out for exhibition. So it might be that we treat, depending on the curtilage, we might exclude, picking up Mr. Cunhan's point, we might exclude curtilage around the memorial itself and maybe make a clearer distinction between that and how items are listed on official registers.
Yeah, clear as mud. If you can, I've got a number 3 I want. If you can draw up a number 4 that gives an idea of intent to the community that we've heard, and we're going to address it, so that we don't, start with. There's enough correspondence comes into this place without generating it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I was thinking about your question. Can we keep it general in that we take the Bundanoon's Association's submission and we will address it as part of the public exhibition period, so that we can think it, like we have an idea as to how we can do it, but like we might need to look into it a little bit further.
Look, I definitely agree with not doing it on the run. But okay, well, look, let me do a number 3. The question of the coverage under 3.1 of the Bundanoon Soldiers Memorial Hall and Moss Vale War Memorial Aquatic Centre be referred to the General Manager for consultation with the relevant lessees to address any unintended consequences. And number 4, during the exhibition period, the General Manager take advice to ensure that the flag policy at 4.4 adheres to any state or federal protocol on flag flying and it be incorporated into the policy. I think from what I've heard, the way it's written now gives authority to the RSL sub-branches, but what I'm trying to say is let's put it beyond doubt. The sub-branches say that they are adhering to protocols, so let's use the state and federal protocol rather than just referring to the sub-branch. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, General Manager, you happy with number 3, or Director, you happy with number 3, the way it's worded?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't talk in council. But if, look, this is important, so let's resolve into Committee of the Whole, so that the Treasurer of the Bundleton Association can be heard, and declare that carried. So we're now in Committee of the Whole. We want to come to the...
Thank you. My point is very small, trivial but important, and it is that soldiers has a plural possessive apostrophe in every spelling. It's above the hall, and we do feel it's really important that the name of the hall is correctly reflected. So, I'm sorry, it's a very minor point, but we feel that again comes to the honouring of the hall itself. Thank you.
I'll resolve back into council and declare that carried. I'm doing the right process, aren't I? Yeah. And declare that carried. So, is that spelling been rectified? I think it's important that we dealt with this matter to get it right. Happy? Okay, in relation to item 8.3, cenotaphs and memorials, I would move the officer's recommendation 1, 2, the new number 3 as on the screen. And declare that carried. Thank you. We now move to item 8.4, Code of Meeting Practice. You're over. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. May. In relation to 8.4, I'd like to table an updated Code of Meeting Practice, which the Acting Director, Corporate Strategy and Resourcing will speak to. Thank you, Mr. May.
Thank you, General Manager. The purpose of this report is to provide a minor amendment to the Wingecarribee Council Code of Meeting Practice, known as the Code, by adding additional clauses to Section 13 of the Code to provide a process whereby the General Manager has an opportunity to provide context to specific reports to be determined individually rather than by exception. In addition to this, a minor amendment is also proposed to Section 4.4 and 4.10 relating to public forum, which will clarify the current procedure relating to speakers' attendance and the tabling of documents by speakers. I would like to note there was an omission of a previously adopted clause from the Code of Meeting Practice attached to the council report. This was from section 21 that relates to council workshops. The omission where the references to workshops being open to public unless the general manager is satisfied that the grounds exist to exclude members of the public. Council workshops minuted, and that minutes will provide a record of attendance and proceedings in brief, and that the minutes will be reported to the council meeting following the workshop. I would like to include an additional recommendation that notes we have tabled the Code of Meeting Practice that includes these previously adopted clauses. The recommendation I propose is as, in addition to the existing recommendation, point 3, note the tabled Code of Meeting Practice that incorporates of the resolution of Council from 28 July 2021 to amend Clause 21 relating to council workshops that was omitted from the Code of Meeting Practice annexed to the council report. Thank you.
Thanks for that. And a copy of this amended code will be attached to the minutes.
That is correct.
Does it say it there?
We would need to add that to the recommendation. Apologies.
The briefings before meetings, which I read on the weekend, which I didn't mark. If someone could just point me to the right. Clause. Yes, 3.32 and 3.333. General Manager, would it be fair to say that 3.33, it says those pre-meeting briefings will only be closed to the public if the provisions of the relevant section of the Local Government Act applies? Would it be fair to say that you have a considerable, or the General Manager has a considerable amount of discretion in the workshop scenario, that a General Manager would take that clause into account when dealing with the workshops, or do you think that should be added in?
I think the General Manager should be able to exercise the discretion. I think there's enough guidance in the Code of Meeting Practice.
Okay,
as
thank
it
you.
is.
All right, in relation to item 8.4, so the officer's recommendation remains the same for 1 and 2, but there's a new number 3 added. Is that correct? As I understand it? Yeah. So the officers have added number 3. Okay, I would move the recommendation as outlined starting on page 43 of the business paper, adding 1 and 2 and adding number 3 as outlined on the screen. And declare that carried. I think that finalises matters listed for consideration. Is there any other matter, General Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mr. May. So I'm pleased to announce the appointment of our 2 new directors to the Wingecarribee Council Executive Team. Mr. Michael McCabe as the Director, Communities in Place, and he will commence on the 1st of July. And Ms. Shelley Jones as the Director, Corporate Strategy and Resourcing, and she will be starting with us on the 5th of August. Both Michael and Shelley bring a wealth of experience and expertise to Wingecarribee, and I'm confident that they will make a valuable contribution to both the organisation and the community as we continue to deliver positive outcomes. I'd like to take this opportunity to also express my thanks and gratitude to Mr. Kuzmanowski, acting in the Director Corporate Strategy and Resourcing role, and also Mr. Clinton McAllister, acting in the Director's Communities in Place role. They've both done a great job in juggling multiple roles and appreciate their hard work, dedication and leadership at this time. We'll be scheduling a formal welcome for Michael and Shelley in the coming weeks, and we look forward to having them in the Highlands. So I'll table a community announcement that will be issued later this afternoon or this evening with further details. And I just would also note that I have, in accordance with the Local Government Act, consulted with you as part of this process, Mr. May.
Thank you, and I confirm you have consulted with me, and it would probably be the last time that as General Manager you have to consult. A General Manager has to consult in the appointment of such staff, the government having changed the law to give total responsibility to the General Manager. So thank you for that, and thank you for your work, and Clint also. Nothing further? I declare the matter. Just before I close the meeting, you will attach that press release to the minutes for the record. Thank you. Declare the meeting closed.